Jon and Tom stand tall, discussing corruption, answering the call. Osceola's whispers, the truth we unveil. With each podcast episode, we set sail. Unsanctioned voices, we won't be ignored. Taking through lies, we strike a chord. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. Jon and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Politicians trembling, they know we're awake. With facts on our side, we're here to shake. From local elections to making it clear, together we rise, let's spread the fear. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. Jon and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. Jon and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. So tune in each week, don't miss the show. Jon and Tom will help you know.
You can get some.
A $400,000 cash infusion today alone. And the DNC chair even thinks that Florida might be in play for Harris. Do you buy that? Do you agree?
I absolutely buy it. I was just in Florida. I'm very good friends with the Democratic Party chair in Florida, Nikki Fried. I met with our Senate candidate down there. Also, Texas is very much in play. Texas is tied.
Really?
Get over it. Whether it ends up, oh, yes, it's definitely. I don't think Debbie is more than 2 down in Florida. Rick Scott is not popular at all. And let me tell you something that's affecting Floridians in ways that you can't imagine, and that's the spike in home insurance rates. And that affects Latino communities vastly because...
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Trump, one of the first things he said in his acceptance speech was the need for this country to heal now, calling on people to come together. You speak to your Democratic colleagues in the House all the time. So what issues do you think these parties can come together on and really make a difference by working together?
Well, look, first and foremost, I think it's time to acknowledge that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, although they like to talk about the Donald Trump tax cuts. They didn't do anything when they were in power to get rid of them. So I would fully expect that's something where Republicans and Democrats can come together and having a tax agenda in the United States that helps the American people. When it comes to being energy dominant, I would hope that there are Democrats on the other side of the aisle who will agree with us, because getting solar panels and windmills from China is not saving the planet, because they are dirty when it comes to mining. They are dirty when it comes to energy exploration. We are the cleanest when it comes to developing energy in the entire world. We would hope that they would join us. And like I said, when it comes to immigration, my hope is that Democrats realize that an open borders policy that overwhelms our country is simply not popular. And I would hope that they would see what the will of the voters was last night and join us in securing the homeland, securing our country. I believe that success, like Donald Trump says, success is what breeds unity. And that success is going to be the success of the American people.
Absolutely. Agree 100% with Byron Donalds. And that first video, John, it did not age well.
Yeah, so the Raging Cajun was looking into his crystal ball, which happened to be an upside-down alcohol bottle. This is the biggest joke on the planet. I don't know why they still have that guy on air. What's the point of bringing him here? He's absolutely irrelevant to the world of politics. You could not have been more wrong. And in the world of people that are just wrong this election cycle, he was one of the worst, clearly saying Texas was in play. Donald Trump, I don't know how many,
Rick Scott is not popular. And
Rick Scott's not popular. And then he said the Puerto Rican families, this affects the Puerto Rican families like crazy. Do Hispanics own homes in larger numbers than whites or anybody else? Every homeowner is impacted by that situation.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense what he was saying. I think that he's just, they bring him because of his interesting drawl and no other reason.
He looks like a walking corpse at this point, John. I mean,
yeah, there's no point. I really, know when to go out to pasture. Anyways, yeah, and Donald's, what a he was right on the money,
Yeah.
and these are two great videos to open the show, because it shows that there's somebody who's living in an alternate reality here. Donald's is living in the real world. The Raging Cajun's living in the alternate reality here that just didn't pan out for him.
No.
And I'm glad that he's really good friends with Nikki Fried, because I hope he's consoling her like crazy right now.
Hopefully he can find her a job.
What a disaster for Democrats in this election cycle.
Yeah.
It could not have been, well, it could have been worse, I guess. But, they could have lost Orange. Right? If they would have lost Orange County, it would have been worse. That would have been really the end of the Democrat Party, which is essentially ceasing to exist as a legitimate body at this stage.
Especially here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We have a ton of election results to go over, and we have a lot of interesting news. We're going to try to make it as quickly as possible through the show, but we got a lot of fun stories, so stick with us. We're going to say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right down to it. Let me go over some of these stories that we got today. So we got Florida Republicans grow their supermajority. Not everybody was expecting that, right? Some people were wondering if it was going to stay. I don't think that you and I we always knew they were going to keep their supermajority.
Yeah.
We just didn't know exactly how that dynamic was going to change, and it ended up growing by 1.
Yeah.
FEMA under magnifying glass for skipping Trump supporters. What a federal agency picking and choosing losers and winners according to the yard signs that they have. Incredible story. Alfie Oakes, the popular Republican conservative activist down in South Florida, has his properties raided. Head of the Florida Environmental Protection. Remember that golf course story that we were talking about a lot, right? That guy lost his head. We have the Orange County to create 2 more districts. 2 more districts. Isn't that crazy? They're going to add 2 more districts, and then our one of Central Florida's most involved lobbyists and political people, Angel de la Portilla, goes on the news to talk about that and more on this episode of Unsanctioned Florida. Stick with us. Please like and share the show as we get down to it. Let's do a quick prayer. Lord, we're truly grateful to live in this state of all the states in our union. We love this country. We love this state. We love the people of the United States, and we hope that this election pays dividends to those people, not just in the federal government, but through our state government. There's no excuses that can be had. There's a supermajority in both, in the state legislature, in both houses, in the Senate and the House, and we pray that they make use of that to make good laws, to take care of our population, to resolve the problems that we have on behalf of all the Americans, regardless of what their party affiliation is. We also pray that now that the election is over, that we can come together a little bit and that we can enjoy and prioritize the things that are important to the American people, which is basically life and humanity and peace, and maybe laugh about the elections now that it's over, and we can all admit that Donald Trump is a great president. He's going to do great things and not fight him the whole way. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's get to it, Tom.
Let's start with the state of Florida. All right, John. So, yes, the Republican Party in Florida firing on all cylinders. They retain the supermajorities in the Florida legislature. And here's the story.
State legislature for the next 2 years. Democrats failed to pick up any seats in either chamber. Our Capitol Bureau reporter Cody Butler tells us how both parties are moving forward toward next year's session.
Democrats had someone on the ballot in every legislative district this time around, but they didn't make any gains.
Florida is worth fighting for. The people of the state are worth fighting for.
Democrats are coming off a disappointing defeat in what was seen as a comeback for the party. Florida Democratic Party Chair Nikki Fried repeated that the state was in play, but it was only in play for Republicans, with the GOP winning up and down the ballot across the Sunshine State.
What a great line that is.
Tuesday night, Fried vowed to continue to push back against the Republican supermajority in the Florida legislature.
We have a sacred responsibility of continuing to stand up and stand in the gap with the people who are now elected to represent us.
Fried was proud Democrats were challenging Republicans in every seat to break the supermajority. It's a strategy political analyst Susan McManus says in the end likely hurt Democrats.
The party's going to have to relook at whether having somebody in every seat is more important than focusing on a few winnable districts.
Republicans are more confident their policies are why voters kept them in power.
No one has ever successfully defended a supermajority, and we did that and even added a seat when we were at it. So I think it says a lot about where we are as a state and where we're going.
People have agreed with the policies that we passed and the way that we have led the state, and in my opinion, we saw that at the ballot box.
Fried is committing that Democrats will bounce back.
We brush it off, we get back to work, because this state demands us to work every single day.
The legislature will be here in Tallahassee in a couple of weeks for an organizational session. That's when lawmakers will get their committee assignments. Session begins in March. In Tallahassee, I'm Cody Butler reporting.
Incoming leadership is getting ready for the upcoming session. Both chambers announced Thursday who will be in key leadership positions for the next 2 years.
I have no doubt that she's going to have to brush things off, especially her resume, John, because I have a feeling she's in big trouble.
I don't know. I think that they like her, though. So I who knows if she loses her. Here's the thing. The only seat that they pick up is one that they fumbled. The Democrats fumbled. That was incredible. The Tom Keene, Erica Booth. Erica Booth was a horrendous candidate. She's an absolute moron. All they needed to do was press, and they didn't. I don't know why they didn't press for Tom Keene. I don't know if they thought that they were going to win. It looks like they negotiated it away, right? And we've been talking about it on the show. What were they negotiating, right? They negotiated the Senate seat over the Senate seat. They negotiated maybe this House seat, and I think that maybe they did a trade in order to prevent the House and the Senate, the District 25 from flipping. And abandoning that seat, they allowed Tom Keene to lose his seat in District 35, which the people here really, well, not the people here, like the establishment here really cared about, right? They had to get this broken horse over the finish line, and there was no other way to do it. There was no other way to do it. I think in a square fight that Tom Keene beats her every day. Now, this is a horrendous election to be a Democrat. But at the same time, this is such a it's the worst Republican candidate that you could ever have. And they went easy on her. And I don't know if they didn't give Tom money or I don't know what happened.
Because I'll tell you, John, I didn't really see anything from Tom Keene at all. And Tom Keene is more of a moderate Democrat, so you think that he would be able to put up a better fight against a, just to say it, I guess, a moderate Republican, because Eric Booth is
a liberal Republican and a moderate. So I mean, and also this. Remember, the district was drawn for Fred Hawkins, the biggest moron in town, and they drew it for him.
Yes.
So of course, a Republican can win. A Republican can win, but in terms of the strategy of going for every seat, I don't think that was the mistake. That's not the mistake. The mistake is playing games with these elections and taking your chances, as opposed to, you can field a candidate in everywhere, right? Because it basically doesn't let the party know where you're going to concentrate your forces and where you're really going to fight. Yeah. Just because you have a candidate doesn't mean that you're going to fight. Look at District 25, right? They had a candidate, but they didn't fight for that district. We all knew that it was going to flip in Osceola County, because last election cycle in 2020, it was Peter Vivaldi lost it by 200 and something votes, 223 votes or something like that. So it was going to flip with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. It was going to flip. We all knew that. The entire battle was in Orange County, and apparently everybody knew that except for the Martinez team. So it was just that's a disaster. Everything was a disaster in these elections locally for Republicans. Thank God that Trump won. But Trump being at the top of the ticket and winning in Osceola County tells you that Trump is the real deal, and that if we had the real deal here in Osceola County, if we had real Republicans here in Osceola County, a real Republican Party in Osceola County, that we would be winning elections. Because there's no reason that Trump is going to bring out 80,000 voters in Osceola County, a blue county supposedly, and us not win any of the local seats.
Yeah.
So it was very mysterious outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into that in the Osceola County segment. We're going to look at these races. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about these candidates and why or why not they won, or lost. So definitely going to get into that. It's very interesting. And we have a lot to say about that, don't we, John? But
absolutely.
We'll move on to this next story. And it's another fascinating story here, John, that the governor has to order a probe into reports of FEMA workers skipping homes with Trump signs here in the state of Florida.
This is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Very crazy, very crazy. On Friday, he ordered this investigation into these reports of workers with the Federal Emergency Management Agency skipping the homes of President-elect Donald Trump's supporters while surveying damage from Hurricane Milton. The blatant weaponization of government by partisan activists in the federal bureaucracy is yet another reason why the Biden-Harris administration is in its final days, DeSantis wrote. New leadership is on the way in D.C., and I'm optimistic that these partisan bureaucrats will be fired. And yeah, absolutely. I hope so. Governor DeSantis was writing in response to the report by the Daily Wire that a FEMA supervisor told workers to avoid homes advertising Trump as they surveyed the damage in Lake Placid, Florida, to identify residents who would require federal aid. This supervisor, Marnie Washington, told workers this both verbally and in a group chat used by the team, citing multiple government employees, according to Daily Wire. Unbelievable, John. Unbelievable. But this is the things you can expect from leftists and those that stand against President Donald Trump.
I mean, this is a horrendous, absolutely horrendous. This woman doesn't belong in government of any. I mean, come on. This is who we have in FEMA. FEMA is supposed to be protecting us during a disaster, and we have somebody who's telling her to avoid the people that she doesn't agree with. This is the worst. This is the worst kind of organizational leadership here. This is the type of thing that we expect in Osceola County, but not through FEMA after a hurricane. This is absolutely crazy. And man, this woman needs to go to jail. She doesn't just need to, because this is a public duty. She doesn't just need to lose her job, get fired. She needs to go to jail.
Yeah, I agree. This is no place for partisan games like this, especially when people's lives are on the line. It's just really sickening. But this is TDS, John. This is Trump derangement syndrome. another mental illness that's running wild throughout this country. And I can tell you that today I was fighting with liberals on Osceola County rants and raves. They were going after President Trump, making accusations. And these people just don't want to see the light. You know, after 9 years of the media lying to you about this man, you continue to believe the lies that the media has told you. Just problem, John. Just a problem.
I mean, and the, you know, the idea that people are agreeing with you, right? You get out of your silo.
Yeah.
Get out of your silo. Get out of your echo chamber. I mean, when you do you believe, if you're one of those people that believes that you should avoid helping a neighbor because they don't believe with you politically, right? And that's your responsibility. You're wrong. You're wrong. There's no way to slice it. Your political beliefs do not decide what good and bad is. They're just your political beliefs. That's all. So get over it. It's incredible that people are doing this thing, that people are holding. You don't see Republicans really doing that, right? Like if you see a crazy blue-haired idiot on the side of the road with a flat tire, you pull over and you help that idiot regardless, right? You know they're going to vote for Harris if they got blue hair and they're looking like they're can't change a tire. That's obviously a Harris voter, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to help them. I mean, it's just this is crazy, and we need to get back to a world that is normal.
Absolutely. Well, John, I just found out about this. I was shocked by this. Alfie Oakes had his home in North Naples raided by federal agents, and his packing plant in I can't even say that. How do you say that, John?
Immokalee?
Immokalee? Immokalee? I don't know. Maybe we'll learn in this video. But
somebody let us know.
Here's the story.
Law enforcement surrounding the home of local businessman and conservative activist Alfie Oakes. I want to show you this brand new video at 4. That's Alfie Oakes walking into his home while law enforcement are at the home. You can see him walk right past our cameras and reporter.
So the raid is coming just 2 days after he held a massive election watch party at his seed-to-table grocery store. We have NBC2's Alexa Velez for us live from North Naples right now, where IRS agents went into the gated community. Alexa.
Yeah, so right now we are outside of Alfie Oakes' home here in the Villages of Monterey in North Naples, and we saw multiple law enforcement officers coming and going in unmarked cars this morning and afternoon, but they've all left since, and that includes people with the IRS. This is new video of Oakes from about an hour ago. He quickly went into his home after talking to law enforcement, and they were going in and out of his home through the garage, carrying boxes, and we actually saw a man wearing an IRS shirt carry out a computer. One neighbor told me off camera that officers showed up around 11 this morning with a battering ram and that his wife and daughter were home. We reached out to FHP and they confirmed that they were only here assisting other agencies by securing the area, mainly keeping Santa Cruz Court clear. And I spoke to a neighbor who knows Oakes, and this is what he knows.
Right around the corner over here, we just heard, "Open the door," and that's all I really heard. I don't think they kicked the door in. I think his wife, I heard, let him in.
Alfie Oakes is a well-known
I don't think that guy was a neighbor.
Yeah. Straight, I don't. Who interviewed that guy and thought that was a good thing to put in the story?
To find out exactly what is going on, and the IRS as well. But for now, we're outside of his home in North Naples. I'm Alexa Velez, NBC2.
Obviously her. This is not a very good reporter.
So we also
who
have
takes
more brand
who
new
takes
video
oh,
of
here's
law
the lawn
enforcement
guy.
at Alfie Oakes packing plant.
What
We
did
wanna
you
bring
hear?
that up here
I don't know. I
and
think I
farm
heard
in
something.
Immokalee.
Right.
We'll show you that here in just a moment. Here we go. Here's the video. Some of our first looks from Oakes Farm, seed to table on New Harvest Road, and you can see a law enforcement vehicle there blocking the driveway. We can also confirm the IRS was at his house. We're told that the Defense Criminal Investigative Service is conducting this investigation right now at the business in Immokalee. Now, Alfie Oakes, of course, is no stranger to controversy.
There's
He
your
was
answer,
previously
Immokalee.
arrested at a casino, but he does maintain a large following among local conservatives. We have NBC2's Dave Elias outside Seed to Table right now, grocery store in Collier County. Dave.
Yeah, we arrived here shortly after all of this news was breaking, and when we arrived on scene, there was we didn't see any presence of law enforcement here at the popular Seed to Table restaurant. In fact, I talked with people who were in there shopping at about that same time who told me they saw nothing unusual inside. In fact, if you take a look right now, it is business as usual here outside of Seed to Table. Alfie Oakes, of course, the owner of this restaurant and grocery store. Now, I've reached out to a number of Republican political leaders who say they're very surprised by these developments. In fact, they were completely unaware of it until I phoned them to tell them about it. Now, I reached out to the state Republican Party chair, Evan Power, who said he was unaware of this and had no comment. You'll recall that Alfie Oakes himself is a former Republican state committeeman. Well, he sought to run for that seat again in this latest election, but he was not qualified to do so because he turned his paperwork in late. But despite that, Alfie Oakes remains very active in politics here. And as you heard, there was a big watch party here on election night. So again, we are continuing to monitor things here at Seed and Table, and for now, it's business as usual. In Naples,
You know, John, I met Alfie Oakes once at an Orange County FRA meeting, and seemed like a really nice guy. I know he's a very large donor to the party, the state party, and I imagine he was probably a very large donor to President Trump. Not on the level of some of the real billionaires that donate, but I mean, I'm sure he donated quite a large sum to the Trump campaign, and I wonder if that has something to do with these raids that are being performed on him and his business. But I guess we'll never really know until something comes out more about this.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting it in there because, you know, Alfie's a conservative person who is pretty active, and he's, you know, we see these things happening, so we're reporting on it. But what a terrible news job of these editors and these reporters on this story.
Yeah.
I called his friends, and nobody knew about it until I told them. And I called everybody in the neighborhood. Nobody knew anything about it. So then why are you reporting on it? Right? It doesn't make any sense. As a journalist, this is why journalism is dead, because they just don't learn how to do the job. And what a terrible story in multiple respects. And one, that this is happening to a good guy. And number two, that, man, what a terrible job at reporting the story.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And we hope for the best for Alfie. Hopefully everything's okay. I hear his grocery store and his restaurant is very nice place.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
place,
I hear it's amazing. This is the place where they had a whole bunch of Trump stuff and conservative stuff hanging, right?
Yeah.
That's that place, yeah. We've had it on the show before.
So this next story, John, we talked about this story a couple months back, how they were planning on renovating parks and putting hotels and pickleball courses and things like that. Well, the Florida Environmental Protection head that was associated with this quits 2 months after the backlash of this plan.
What a
develop the
disaster.
state parks. Yeah, absolutely. Sean Hamilton is being replaced as Secretary of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection by Alexis Lambert, Chief of Staff of the state's Bond Finance Division. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' office announced in a news release Thursday. Hamilton said in an email to state employees obtained by the Tampa Bay Times that he was leaving to transition to the private sector after more than 3 years leading the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The department unveiled the plans for the Great Outdoors Initiative in August and had planned a single hour of public hearings near the 9 affected parks. Opposition to the initiative transcended party lines as top Republican legislative leaders and members of Congress, including U.S. Senators Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, raised questions along with Democrats and environmental groups such as the Sierra Club and the Clio Institute.
Nuts. Well, I mean, it's not nuts. I'm surprised that he wasn't fired. It was embarrassing for the governor. It was embarrassing for a lot of the people involved. DeSantis called it a half-baked idea at that time. So, I mean, that was a huge scandal, and at least they let him go out after the smoke cleared a little bit. And one thing I don't like, I'm gonna comment about this, is that they say, "Oh, I'm the transition to the private sector," meaning he got a big cushy job after it, and I hate that. That's not the purpose of public service, to set yourself up. You're supposed to serve. You serve, you sacrifice, you go back to what it is that you were doing, and then you survive off of your own merits, not the corruption that you've been able to develop. I mean, this is I hate to see that. It's just so wrong. It's why our country is the way it is because people are so out for themselves. They're so greedy. They're willing to stab their neighbor in the back in order to get ahead. It's just like this Marnie Washington from FEMA. This is no different. Yeah. It's all a bunch of people who are desperate, who have, I'm not going to say they don't have any talent to survive off of. Clearly they have some talent, but I mean, come on, put the country ahead of yourself. Put your family and everyone ahead of yourself. Just go out and serve and then leave it alone, right? I mean, leave it. Jeez, it's heartbreaking to see people take advantage of the government so much.
Yeah, and we have so many of these elected officials that do that, John.
All of them, yeah, practically all of them. I mean, it's an endless, especially locally, when we have the examples here locally and things that I've seen behind the curtain of elected office. It's horrendous. It's really horrendous. It's why they were willing to kill Trump, because what they don't want is to lose all that, right? Look at the people here locally, right? What they're willing to do anything, put people in jail. They're willing to do anything to keep their power base here in Osceola County so they can keep making millions, keep selling houses for twice what they're worth, sell land to the county so that it's, they get millions and millions of dollars on land that's worth nothing but a bunch of cow patties. They're willing to do anything to keep the train moving, the gravy train.
Yeah. Ain't that true? Where'd you go, John? Well, John disappeared, and we're going to see if we can get him back, but we're going to go ahead with this next story, which is Orange County is going to add 2 new commissioners and create 2 new districts after voters okay a charter change. And here's that story.
Amendments passed. All 10 Orange County charter amendments did pass.
And that includes a measure to divide Orange County up into not 6 county commission seats, which it is right now, but 8 seats. News 6's Laverne McGee is giving us a closer look at how this will change the county's makeup. Laverne?
It sure will. Orange County is booming, and District 1 is one of the fastest growing areas in the county, and managing all of this growth is becoming more of a challenge. The county will be divided up, adding more districts, and they will also have relatively equal populations. I spoke with the man behind the idea earlier today on why he thinks it's something that Orange County needs. I'm here with Angel de la Portilla. Angel, there's going to be some big changes coming to Orange County after last night's vote.
Yes, as a result of the election, Orange County is going to expand from 6 county commission districts to 8. So I served on the Orange County Charter Review Commission, and I was chairman of the Government Structure Committee. And we looked at the current form of structure that we have in the county, and I recommended an expansion to go from the current number of 6 districts to 8 districts.
Why?
First of all, our county government has had the same form of government for over close to 40 years.
After last night's results, under the current system, the Orange County Board of Commissioners consists of Mayor Jerry Demings and 6 commissioners. 2 more commissioners will be added starting in the 2026 general election.
When the charter was first created in 1986, we had 5 commissioners. They expanded to 1. And we've had the same number of districts for nearly 40 years. However, our county population has tripled in size since then. We were at 500,000 people. We're now at 1.5 million. Our county budget is about 9 times greater.
How is this done? I mean, how do you all of a sudden go from 6 districts? Who is deciding this? What's the process?
Okay, the process begins actually next year, where the mayor and the 6 commissioners will appoint 2 members each. The mayor will appoint 3 to a redistricting advisory committee, and they'll begin meeting probably sometime in February or March. There'll be 15 members. This is a public process. Members of the public will all be invited. They'll have meetings throughout the county, and they will draw up the maps. They will work with the newly elected supervisor of elections, Karen Castor-Dento, and the legal staff to create the new districts based on the population.
And this has implications for the 2026 elections. You're going to see 7 seats up for grabs. I know this doesn't sound like earth-riveting stuff, but this is the stuff that affects your life.
Very
the
important.
crowding, the traffic, the schools, all of those things.
Okay. Well, John's not back yet. Let me see if we can get him back in here. He's on the way. He's coming. But very interesting that we're going to see 2 new commissioners added to Orange County. Give me 1 second. I'm bringing John back. Not really sure what happened to him, but there he is. All right,
Hey.
there he is. All right, John. So we just played the video about Orange
Right,
County. They are going from
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
So, initially I was kind of against this initiative. I didn't understand, why do you need to increase it? It's just kind of like increasing the power base. But, I didn't know that Angel de la Portilla is behind it. At the end of the day, Angel de la Portilla is a very honest broker, and he's a good guy. He's a family guy. If he's doing it, he probably did look at the information. And as in, we saw in the story, there's a reason, I mean, the population has increased and so on. Maybe there are benefits to people that I wouldn't necessarily agree with through this process, the expansion of the government, the expansion of the bureaucracy. But at the same time, I do trust his judgment, so I can't speak negatively on it, really. I wonder how these seats are. It would be great if the 2 seats are making 2 red seats, right? Because this is a very homogenous type of situation where it's all blue, they're all conservative, and, it's just this, ugly blue spot in the middle of a red Florida.
I mean, it would be nice to see some red districts pop up in Orange County.
And I don't know how you can avoid it. You're going to get at least one solid one, if nothing else, right? Unless they split them up all on purpose, that could lead to lawsuits. There could be, if this isn't done fair and nicely, then there's a lot that could happen negatively from this.
That's true. All right, John. So we're going to skip the commercial this week. We're going to go straight into Osceola County because we got a lot to talk about here.
All right,
we got a
let's
lot
do
to
it,
cover.
yeah.
Come on, guys.
All right, John. So starting this off, we're going to preface this with Osceola County saw the biggest flip from blue to red in Florida during this presidential election. And that's the truth. That's what happened. And that's why right there. All told, Trump flipped 6 counties that Joe Biden won in 2020. Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Duval, Seminole, and Osceola, which supported Biden by 14 percentage points that year and Hillary Clinton by 25 points in 2016. There are exactly 20,257 more registered Democrats than registered Republicans in Osceola. According to Mary Jane Arrington's website, there are 86,373 registered independents. And the Hispanic votes move towards Trump nationally was evident in Osceola. Trump received 45% of the Hispanic vote in the election, according to a CNN exit poll. Osceola County is 56% Hispanic, according to the U.S. Census, with the largest subset being of Puerto Rican descent. So, knowing that, we're going to look at some of the local races and how these races played out, the numbers in them, what we make of it, and what we think of some of these candidates. So let's bring.
Before we even bring up the site, or you can bring up the site while I'm talking, but we've talked about this on the show a lot. How Hispanic voters were going to switch red. They were going to go red by far. It wasn't going to be close. We kept saying that over and over and over again. He had some of the largest Hispanic election numbers, Trump did, outside of our county. This is important to realize as we discuss the county. in history since it's been recorded, since we had exit polling. Okay. In some of the counties in Texas on the border, meaning and there's a county in Texas that's 97% Hispanic. It's the most Hispanic county in the entire country. Okay. 97% Hispanic, and they are of Mexican descent, right? They voted when it was with Romney against Obama in that election. They voted more than 70% for Obama. Okay, it decreased slightly, actually maybe not slightly in a regular election, but compared to some places right now with Trump, slightly over the next 20 years, and it voted now 90 points. It went 90 points the other direction. I mean, these are incredible shifts. We all know. And I say this to basically point out the messages of the left are what's going to drive away Hispanics in droves. Okay. You have a whole bunch of kids, every kid, white, black, Hispanic, whatever. When you're a 20-year-old kid in college, you might be a little liberal. Okay. Oh, that's no big deal, right? That's the age to be a fool. But the problem is that you grow up, you have a family, and all of a sudden, you don't want your kids to be referred to as Latinx. You don't want your kid to have his genitals cut off. You don't want your daughters to have their breasts removed. You don't want boys in your daughter's bathroom. You don't want boys playing against girls' sports. You don't want any of those things. These are the exact issues that played here, right? So there's only 2 issues that really made this election the way it is. There might be 100 issues that were important, but 2 really drove the election. The economy, which the Democrats have lied and said that we're all doing great, right? And we all know we're not. And number 2, which is this transgender ideology, which will lump all the BS wokeness into that transgender ideology, because they lied to us too. And they're saying that boys are girls and girls are boys, and there's no difference between us. And that's another lie. Those 2 lies that the Democrats have told turned Osceola red. Now, the question is, can we trust these numbers that turned Osceola County red when it goes below Rick Scott, which is the number 2 race in on the ballot for all Osceolans? Is, there's the presidential, there's the Senate, right? They all voted for Rick Scott. And Rick Scott also, the Raging Cajun was saying earlier that, he's not popular and we hate Rick Scott. This was the largest margin that Rick Scott ever won by. So now you have Rick Scott winning here, and then we have the rest of the races. The next one being the congressional seat. Let's go to the congressional seat.
All right, so let's bring this up. I don't know why I'm on that one, but let's look at some of this stuff. Where do we want to start at, John?
Let's go to that congressional race.
All right.
So the congressional race, basically, it was District 9. It's Darren Soto against Thomas Shalafo. This race is ruinous for the rest of the county, and here's why. Because whether you trust the outcome of Mary Jane's work, her pen, or you don't, or you do, it doesn't make no difference. We knew that this race was going to turn out this way. They didn't need to fudge this race at all, because we knew that this was going to happen. Tom Shalafo, as great of a man as he is, and he's a great guy, he had a smart campaign, did good, everything was great. Let's say he did nothing wrong. This is what you can expect, okay? When the only box that you check, right, that's valuable here in this point is money. He had money in droves, right? He spent money. He had his own money, but that wasn't going to win this election against Darren Soto. That's too hard. You're going uphill. You're traveling against the current. It's going to be hard. If you wanted to be a white Republican winning this seat, okay, you needed to be hardcore Trump driving home. And I'm not saying, okay, different than everybody else and different than all the other Republicans in Osceola County. I'm not going to say that you have to be Hispanic to win this race, because I don't believe that. I think that you can be white and win this district. The difference is that you have to check all the other boxes, which are the boxes that make these people vote, the things that are important to them. If you came out and you were fighting against this transgender BS, and you were fighting for the economy, and you were actually fighting, I'm not using that word figuratively, I'm talking about literally, you are fighting with Darren Soto about his record, then maybe you win. But if you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to play it all, I'm going to be the nice guy, I'm not going to, no. That's not how you win an election in Osceola County when all the chips are on the line and you're behind in all these other things like demographics, which is important.
Yeah.
You can't do it, right? So we expect this. This looks like a normal loss. Then you go to the next one.
So I wanted to point out real quick too, John.
Yeah.
That you see it right here. It says unofficial results. This show is being filmed on a Saturday. All right, it's going to go live on a Sunday. The election was last Tuesday. These results have still not been certified by the Osceola County Supervisor of Elections. Why? What is the wait? What's the problem here? Let's get these certified. Let's get this election certified.
Yeah, it's crazy that this is not certified already. Just nuts.
But you can see, and like we pointed out before, and I just wanted to go over, you're talking about Rick Scott. Obviously, he beat Debbie Mucarsel-Powell in Osceola County, and by quite a bit. It wasn't even close. All right, so we talked District 9. Where are we at? Monique Worrell and Andrew Bain.
Well, this is a surprising race because why would 90,000 people vote for Darren Soto and then 88,000 people carry to the next race? Now, some of this is just like it's the momentum, right? You're a Democrat, you're gonna vote for Darren Soto, you're gonna go to the next one, Monique Worrell, Andrew Bain, you're gonna stick with the Democrat. Okay, right. So we're talking about the Hispanic groups, right? Because the Republicans are all voting for Republicans, right? And the Republicans are they're gonna vote for Andrew Bain, maybe, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And
he ran as an MPA.
Even though he ran as an MPA, the Republicans endorsed him and so on. I don't know what he did necessarily in his campaign. But okay, so then you go on. He was fighting hard.
I want to point out something real quick, John. It says that 88,000 voted for Monique Worrell.
Yeah.
And 90,000 voted for Darren Soto.
Mm-hmm. So he lost 2,000 votes. She lost 2,000 votes.
Are they trying to say that that's a 2,000 undervote?
Well, for sure.
Just chose not to vote in that race. I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looks like. But here's the funny thing: then why would none of where's the 6,000 votes that Shalafo got?
Yeah.
Where are those votes for Andrew Bain? Did they not vote for him just because they're Republican? They don't know. I don't think that Osceola County was campaigned very hard.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't think that there was anybody really hard on the Republican side, really hard campaigning. Making a name, and that's what you needed to do. You needed to do that. Yeah. If we go to but anyways, regardless, I think that there's a great possibility that Monique Worrell maybe gets herself removed from that office again. That's a distinct possibility that if I wouldn't, you saw it here first. If Monique Worrell gets removed from her seat again for refusing to do her job like she did last time, which is what it appeared, then Andrew Bain will become the state attorney again. Yeah. This next race really kills me. So the Republicans, right?
25.
Yeah. So more people voted for Jose Martinez than voted for Thomas Shalafo. Okay. That's crazy. So that's 10,000 more people. So those 10,000, you have to assume, okay, that those are Hispanics, right? Yeah. You have to assume that 10,000. But where did Kristen Arrington got 83,000? So there's 7,000 that voted for Darren Soto that did not vote for Kristen Arrington, right? Yeah. So where did those 7,000 people move to Martinez, right? So you would imagine that those are Hispanics, and then 3,000 more. So where did those 3,000 people come from, right? It must have been MPAs.
Yeah.
Right? We're just using the numbers that are here. We're not, obviously the real numbers are different, but we're just using the numbers here. So this was 100% expected because when in the previous race in 2020, was it 2020 or 2022?
Yeah, 2020.
Peter Vivaldi ran, okay, and he lost it by 223 votes. Now you have Trump at the top of the ticket. You're expecting this outcome. This is the outcome that I was expecting, okay, to win Osceola. The entire battle was going to be in the parts in Orange County. And there he lost by, I think, 8,000 votes. Yeah. So that was I mean, this was a spared seat. This is the second election cycle in a row that we left this Senate seat on the table, and it's because the state Senate in Tallahassee traded this seat, I believe, for District 35, which is why we didn't see a huge effort for Tom Keene to keep that House seat. But they really, Danny Perez, all the lobbyists, all the ranchers here that own property, and I'm only talking about the connected ones that are like the Partons, they wanted Erica so bad in the House where she can protect them and provide them and do what she's told because she's nothing but an empty suit. They traded these two seats. And that's why you don't see the hard campaigning. That's why you didn't see a Martinez backed by the state house, because they knew that he was going to lose this seat because they surrendered it.
You know, John,
Yeah.
I found it quite interesting that the state party was sending out mailers for Jose Martinez in the primary. When he was running against you. But when it came to the general election, they weren't doing anything for him.
No, it was just terrible. I mean, they basically they handed the seat. They did not want him. I mean, and you know, he also ran a terrible campaign. It was, I mean, these are races that are non-existent, right? Like you really saw some people fighting hard for their seat, and some people you didn't. Is the bottom line.
I will tell
right?
you this, John. I saw a lot of advertisements for Kristen Arrington. I saw them on YouTube. I saw them on X. I saw them on Facebook. I was seeing them everywhere. So I know that they were spending a lot of money there to try and get her over the hump, and she won. So I guess it worked. But
well, for sure, Kristen Arrington, she was feeling very vulnerable. She knows the same thing that we do, that she was going to get beat in Osceola County. Yeah. She knew that, right? And of course, she's courting you, and Martinez is probably courting Democrats.
Yeah.
Right? So we may not be the target of those, but here's the thing: I'm trying to keep an eye. I'm trying to keep a track, you know, on all these things. And there was just no race, and he raised $10,000 in the general. So you know, it was just this was a sacrifice. It was a meal that was left on the table for no reason. We could have had this seat, but they wanted Kristen Arrington. They made that very clear. The establishment of Osceola County wanted Kristen Arrington. And so they had, you know, they spent all the money against me. They made sure that I lost in the primary so that they could win in the general. And that's what happened. And, you know, who knows if Jose Martinez knows whether he was being used or not. Who knows whether it was intentional or not. You just never know those things. But, I mean, that's obviously, it's clear as day that that's what happened here.
yeah, because you think about it, the two aristocracies, the families of Osceola County, all kept their positions or gained a position. Like this next race, Erica Booth, State House 35.
Horrendous. Empty suit.
You know, Keene away in Osceola County. I mean, just unbelievable.
Oh, that reminds me. Yes, exactly. In this race, let me tell you another reason that if you go back up to Darren Soto, one of the reasons that Darren Soto 90,000, right? So that's 5,000 more votes than there are Republicans. Where did those 5,000 votes come from? Those are not actually MPA votes. You know who votes those are? Those are Republican votes. And you know which Republicans? It's the landowners. So the landowner Republicans on the east side of town in St. Cloud are the ones that provided these 5,000 votes. So, and the reason I know that is because obviously in a lot of research, when you're running, you learn a lot of things. And the ranchers support Darren Soto because Darren Soto supports a lot of the subsidies and aid for the farmers. So they have a good relationship with him. They're also not the most conservative group of people that you would expect. You know, they vote with their wallet, right? They have a lot to lose. They have a lot on the line. They have a lot of land. That's a lot of risk. So they're not voting with their ideology necessarily. They're voting with their wallet, you know, and what happens when you vote with your wallet is that your ideology will move over to where your wallet is. Right. And so that's why they voted. That's where he got these extra 5,000 votes. Darren Soto's not dumb. OK, he might be a lot of things, but he's not dumb. And he knows what it takes to win, which is why he's always been very successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
This Erica Booth race is just it's a sham on the people of everywhere. She's a sham. This is basically an empty vote. It's a Republican vote. It'll be whatever it is that they tell her. She'll never make her own decision. She'll never have an idea. She'll never write any legislation. She's an absolute, just an empty brain ditz, this person. I sat next to her. I know her. I've heard her speak, and it's rare that anybody heard her speak. She didn't, can't, I mean, this is just plain, I mean, you got to be honest with the people. I'm never going to lie for her, right? It's like, she's just
the
worst
shocked,
woman.
John, that she won by this large of a margin. I mean, she really did kill Tom Keene in Osceola County, and this wasn't the case last time.
Right? Yeah, she lost. I mean, well, one of the things is that I like there were people who were fighting actively, Republicans actively fighting against her before. And none of the Republicans did that now for two reasons. I'll tell you why I didn't, right? I was one of the people who fought against her before. So, number one, I had my own race, and I was trying to prevent overwash. The other thing is that as much as I cannot stand this empty suit of a human being, she's like a bag of skin. She's like a field-dressed animal, okay? But I do love this country, so I was not willing to sacrifice that race and hurt Donald Trump's in votes. Yeah. And that's what you do, right? So you can't when you fight amongst Republicans, then what happens is you basically reduce the number of people that come out. Yeah. So in 22 we did that, and it cost her the race, right? Like we cost her the race. So who knows? In 2 years, I'm not going to be running for anything. Maybe I just spend all of my efforts, in a primary, and then after that primary in the general, they're, disrupting her. Maybe I don't get involved at all. I don't know. But I'm surprised that the Democrat Party didn't do what it needed to do to win this seat. I'm glad that they didn't win an extra seat, but I'm just strategically, I'm surprised that they would do this, that they would abandon that seat. But when you look at Kristen Arrington assuming the Senate seat, she probably made that trade.
All right, John. So, State Representative District 45. Unbelievable that Carolina Amnesty lost in Osceola County, which flipped red for Donald Trump, but actually won in Orange County, which stayed blue for Kamala Harris. She lost in Osceola County to Leonard Spencer, a no-name former executive from Disney.
A DEI executive, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So we spoke earlier about the reasons that Hispanics would not vote for Harris, right? The whole transgender ideology and the economy. Then you run a guy whose literally job is DEI. If they knew that about him, they wouldn't have. But I think that the party abandoned Carolina early because of whatever troubles and controversy she's involved in. So they sacrificed her to the donor classes, and so it's a shame because she was a good rep. She was honestly conservative, but she also pissed them off when she endorsed me. There's a lot of reasons that they abandoned her. And, I would say chief among them is the fact that she's involved in some controversy, but they could have fought, won this seat, right? And then she could have resigned after the fact. Right.
Well,
and that would have been.
I find it very odd, John, that she lost by 1,000 votes in Osceola County to a no-name guy. I mean, no matter what the controversy was. I mean, she was a ardent Trump supporter. We know that. As red as you could get. And for a county that flipped red for Trump, she loses by 1,000 votes to somebody that nobody knows, a no-name guy who didn't even campaign in Osceola County. I didn't see him at all. I don't think anybody did. I never saw him in Orange County, to be honest. And he lost in Orange County. He lost to Carolina Amnesty, but in Osceola, these 1,000 votes in Osceola.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
Put him over and won him the seat.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, a small effort by the party would have won her that seat. A small effort by the party, unless it was intentional, right? If we're talking about what the possibilities of a rigged election, who knows? I wouldn't put anything past Mary Jane Arrington.
That's right.
At all. So, there's nothing that you can do for that. But let's say, assuming that everything was honest, then the slightest effort by the party would have put her over the top.
Yeah.
So another seat that was left on the table. I mean, this is pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, State Representative District 46. No way Jose Alvarez beats Michael Cruz. I have to say, John, I was a little bit shocked by this because I think that people know about No Way Jose, but you say that he's loved in certain areas, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's here's the thing. A lot of people have a lot of problems with Jose Alvarez, and a lot of people are big supporters of Jose Alvarez. One thing that I noticed in the campaign in Kissimmee, especially in his own neighborhood, he's pretty much a beloved guy. They love him. There's, in his own neighborhood, they have a ton of Jose Alvarez signs. So one of the two things, though. Now, Jose got a job with the federal government. Jose is entrenched with Darren Soto. Jose's entrenched with the party. He became a party guy. So let's put all conspiracy theories aside, right? Where they wanted him and they were going to make sure he win. This is a heavily Democratic district. This is not like an upside down by 10 points district. It's not even like a close district. This is like 30-point district. Okay, so I'm not so surprised. I think that the Michael Cruz gave his best effort. He had a good sign game. There's a lot of things that he did well. He sent out some mailers. He did whatever he could. He did whatever he could. But this is such an upside down district. It's really hard. You needed somebody really dynamic and a ton of money. And the party didn't give him anything to work with. So that's what you get. Now, if the party had put in $1 million in this race, I think they could have done it. If they had said Jose Alvarez supports transgender, things, he would have lost all those. He would have lost all the Hispanics that voted for him. So that's the bottom line. You got to fight for these seats. But you have two choices in Osceola County. You can either fight to the death and win, or you can fight softly and lose. Yes. It's one of two things. You're not going to do both. You're not going to fight softly and then win. So that's not going to be how you can win in Osceola County, because they have such a grip. There's so much pressure on these races to give them the outcome, the establishment of the county, the outcome that they want, that you really got to punch through that, right? And if you don't punch through that, then you'll never win. And Jose Alvarez is part of that establishment of the county.
Yes, he is. All right, John. State Representative District 47, Paula Stark pulls it out. She wins. Beats Maria Reveles. And I can tell you this, John, I saw the Democrats put a lot of money into Maria Reveles. I saw ads for her everywhere on streaming services, on YouTube, on X. Maria Reveles was everywhere. And even on Election Day, I was down at the St. Cloud Civic Center and saw a truck go by with a giant Maria Reveles sign blasting salsa music. So, I mean, I'm a little bit shocked. I really thought that, and I didn't see the party really getting behind Paula Stark either. Although Paula's reputation precedes her, she is a longtime fixture of Osceola County. Everybody knows her. She has a lot of goodwill in Osceola County, but it's mostly in St. Cloud. So I figured those votes in BVL might have pushed Maria Reveles over the edge, but it didn't happen. Paula Stark beat her by a good margin.
Yeah, what a crazy race this is. Same thing, I thought maybe Maria Reveles was going to pull this out, but at the same time, Paula Stark ran a very composed, very confident race. And that always makes me think like, okay, well, they must have this in the bag, because she was very composed. They were very steady. Like you said, they're entrenched in the community in St. Cloud. So I don't know. I thought Maria Reveles really put in an effort. There was no doubt that she fought for this seat. Here's the difference between Maria Reveles and some of these other Democrats that won. She was like a lady throughout the whole thing. She never acted crazy. She was respectful with people that she dealt with. I don't know what all her ads were. Maybe she sent out some attack ads. I don't know, but you didn't see a lot of that. It was nothing but effort. She should be very proud of the race that she ran. Paula Stark was already the incumbent. You always get a bonus from that. She voted in a couple of legislative actions in a way that angered the Republicans, which may have gained her some loyalty with some Democrats. And she's a Republican who was endorsed by Trump and who endorsed Trump herself. So, Paula may have walked.
Her action of endorsing Trump at the Florida Freedom Festival at the same time that Governor DeSantis was running for president
May have cost her.
Yeah. I don't think.
But it may have won her the race.
Yeah, it might have won her the race. Yeah. So, very interesting.
So you can't. Yeah, it's a very interesting race. So
glad to see that Paula Starr kept her seat. Very happy about that. But like I said, John, you said, it was a very surprising, especially the effort that Maria Reveles put in. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, Clerk of the Court, Josue Lorenzo and Kelvin Soto. Kelvin Soto blows Josue away. And
So here's the funny thing about the Josue Lorenzo.
Yeah.
He was the best performing Republican in the constitutional races. Yeah. So he had 75. He got blown out. Kelvin Soto had 90,000. He got 75,000, 15,000 vote difference across the county. Where did those votes go? Where did the Trump votes go? Yeah. So, and 90,000 for Kelvin Soto, that's a lot. Neither one of these gentlemen campaigned a lot or heavily.
No.
Right? There was no, and Josue Lorenzo did not campaign at all. He didn't campaign at all.
Yeah.
He did not campaign at all. I didn't see him. He's run multiple times. He's been on the ballot multiple times. I think this is.
If you know local politics, you know who he is.
Yeah, you know who he is. He's a good guy. No complaints about him. But he didn't campaign. He didn't raise any money. He didn't campaign. He just put his name on the ballot. I don't know how he pays for that every time he runs. $10,000, a shot to put your name on the ballot. He's thinking he's going to win right at some point. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about that maybe on another show. So, but that's interesting here. He got 75,000 votes. So keep that in mind. A man who did not campaign whatsoever. He had some signs. Yeah. Okay, Jose, by the way, one of your signs fell over. I put it back in the ground, one of those big signs. I was putting one up out there. So just so you know how it came back up over there on Michigan and Osceola Parkway. But anyways, so the sheriff's race. Okay. Yes. A man who did not campaign at all got 75,000 race. Sheriff's race. Donnie Martinez, he got 5,000 fewer votes than Josue Lorenzo, and he was campaigning.
Hard.
Now here's the hard. He was legitimate. He legitimately wanted
signs, to win. Television ads. He had Facebook ads. He had ads on streaming services. Donnie Martinez was campaigning hard.
He legitimately wanted to win this race. Yeah. And he thought he was going to win this race.
Yes.
Because he was spending like it. He fought hard for the race. Here's where his race went down.
You said this. You said he thought he was going to win. But you know
he
what?
Thought he was going to win.
He thought he was going to win. But I think everybody else in Osceola County did not think he was going to win.
Nobody thought he was going to win but him. Nobody thought he was going to win but him. But I'm saying that he was spending like he thought he was going to win.
Yeah.
And he thought he was going to win. And he was a legitimate Republican. Well, no, not legitimate Republican. Let me rephrase it. He was a legitimate candidate running for a seat.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. That's one thing you can say. You can give him credit. He ran and he ran hard. He made a bunch of mistakes. Yes. As a new time running. Donnie's also kind of a goofy guy. Okay? But he did make a couple of mistakes. And let me tell you where he might have lost these 5,000 votes here. He went on a speech. He did a speech at Hopkins Park, and he said that he thought that citizens should not have AR-15s. When those words came out of his mouth, it's like the soul of the room left. Okay, that was the impact. He said he was talking about his views. That came out. Boom! It left. Okay, every person in there went and probably told all of their friends who owned AR-15s. This guy wants to take your AR-15, and it came out of Donnie's mouth. I just heard it myself, right? That's where a whole bunch of – then he went to a CDF meeting, okay, on the verge of having put his name as a sponsor for a pride rally in St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Okay? So the minute they saw your name on that Pride rally as a sponsor, you saw the balance of those Republican votes just dissipate, okay, evaporate from his support. And then he had at that CDF meeting where they announced it, right? He had just put his name on that thing and they announced it. Apparently there was a big kerfuffle over it, and that's where that's why he has such a bad number here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the cowboy hat that he was always wearing helped him, and the pictures with that. Obviously, it didn't help another guy who was running for office that we'll get to later on. You know, just the fact that he had no experience as a law enforcement officer going into it, I think a lot of people were kind of like, you know.
No, the no votes for Donnie were like intentional no votes.
Yeah.
You know? And so you had that's why you have 96,000 votes for Marco Lopez. This is the evaporation of the voting for Donnie and the condensation of votes appearing on the glass of Marco Lopez, which he happily drank up there.
I know that I heard a lot of Republicans saying that they were going to vote for Marcos Lopez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's do these other two races really quick because they're not worth talking about. Yeah.
Katrina Scarborough versus Jenny Shunar, and I'll say this: Jenny Shunar is a nice lady.
Nice lady.
Met her. She's super sweet.
Sweet.
From what I understand, the local executive committee paid her fees for her to qualify for this seat, and didn't give her much help from that point forward. I saw her signs, her logos, her they weren't very well done. I did see her out there at flag wavings and stuff like that. That was great, but I think she needed a lot of help. And I know this is that Katrina Scarborough is what you would call a dino. And it's the exact the same thing as a rhino, just the other way around. And a lot of people in Osceola County, especially in St. Cloud, know Katrina Scarborough. They know that she originally ran as a Republican and in subsequent elections ran as a Democrat. I don't think that people see these constitutional offices as a partisan race. So when they look at the person, and Katrina Scarborough is somebody who has worked in that property appraiser's office since she was a young girl, I don't think anybody's apt to get her out of there right away, especially to someone they don't know.
You're 100% right. That's really all that needs to be said about this. Jenny Schuner is a very nice lady. From what I understand, Katrina Scarborough is a very nice lady too. But listen, property appraiser, nobody cares, right? Yeah. And so 99,000. So everybody in St. Cloud on the east side of town voted for Katrina Scarborough. Those Republicans that you see, 5,000 Republicans went from the Republican side, went to Katrina Scarborough, right? Independents voted for Katrina Scarborough. Nobody has any issues there. There's just not enough controversy to create. What a terrible seat to run for with a lack of controversy. It's not like she's Mary Jane Arrington where she messes up every time she gets out of bed, you know? So this is not the same thing. So yeah, that's a really tough spot. And yeah, Katrina Scarborough, you could say she has a lack of integrity because she doesn't run as her actual party, right? That she's a Democrat in name only. But that's the only thing. But I mean, Jenny Schunar never mentioned it. And, I don't know. You could make a case if you spend all your money on that one thing and you kept hitting it over and over and over again, maybe you have an impact, but other than that, yeah, it's going to be very hard to remove her. And that's why she had 99,000. Next race, tax collector, Rafael Martinez. Again, same situation. Rafael Martinez, super nice guy.
No.
Couldn't wish any better for him. I think that a tax collector is not ever going to be as popular as a completely what appears to be or what seems to be a harmless constitutional officer, right? A tax collector, people just don't like tax collectors. That's the difference in these numbers. But Bruce Vickers, same situation, a staple of the community out here in Osceola County. Rafael Martinez, he picked up Republicans, but he lost a lot of whites. right? So this is probably a white Hispanic race. A lot of Hispanics may have voted for Rafael Martinez, but not that many, 70,000. I mean,
I think a lot of Republicans felt that Raphael did not have a good grasp on what this office and its job was. I mean, I think that
that's the case for both of these, right? For property appraiser and tax collector. Yeah.
I think that Raphael had spoke to different groups at different occasions and couldn't really articulate his message very well. And I think that didn't put much confidence. And it's the same situation, like you said,
You know
John,
what?
with Katrina Scarborough.
That's a great point. You know why? That goes all the way back up to the very top of the ticket. All of the Hispanics that we have on this list had a lot of trouble communicating the vision of conservatism, right, and purpose to Republicans. And that's why they don't carry over with Trump what he said, right? That's why they lost votes from Trump, because they couldn't do the same thing that Trump did, is provide them with a vision and a purpose for voting. That nobody else could do that, right? You go all the way down the ballot. Shalafo, you couldn't really, Shalafo, he didn't take it to Darren Soto, so he lost, right? Like a gentleman shaking hands, but he lost. And then you have Martinez, who couldn't articulate anything at all. He couldn't articulate it either, right? A mission and purpose of why vote for you? Why vote for you? I don't, I'm not going to, he couldn't build the trust. The people didn't feel like he was going to do anything different. Nobody cared. And it's the same thing with property appraiser, tax collector.
I don't know if some of these people were just hoping on a big red wave riding on the wave of Trump.
Oh, okay. I'm glad.
What I mean?
You know what? Yeah. So yes, I think yes, but also the Republican Party really threw their own crap into the fan with this stuff, because the next race that we're going to talk about is absolutely outrageous and enraging. The supervisor of elections, we have Jim Trouts and Mary Jane Arrington. This was a seat of opportunity. This is a seat that we could have actually won. Now, he was running hard, getting paid. We would have made $10,000, right? You're on the verge of making $10,000. Then all of a sudden, the party chair goes out, recruits the property appraiser, tax collector races, which does nothing at all to help the supervisor of elections race or any other race. It didn't help at all. It did not help at all. This was absolutely wrong. They said that, oh, we did this because it's going to help you and blah, blah. It didn't help them at all. It hurt them. It hurt them. And what it did was, and then the party chair gave these two seats $4,000 each, and they gave $0 to Jim Trouts. They did not want. So a lot of these losses in this are manufactured losses by the Republican Party, by the local Republican Party. They lost these races on purpose, I think. That's why you would give $4,000 to somebody to be able to come in, because what it does is it splits the resources of Jim Trouts, right? He was getting all those petitions. He would have saved the $10,000 fee for filing. And instead, what they did was they took away his volunteers to go help Jenny and Raphael. And that was a disaster. If it wasn't intentional and it was by accident, it was political malfeasance. It was a disaster.
You know, John, I just find it hard to believe that Mary Jane Arrington got 94,000 votes.
Never.
71,000. I mean, when you heard Jim speak, he sounded like somebody that should be leading things. You know what I mean? That should be in charge of something. When you hear Mary Jane Arrington speak, it sounds like...
He sounded like a 90-year-old Erica Booth.
Yes.
It just nothing going on upstairs.
No. And I just find it extremely hard to believe that she, especially after being in the news,
lying on the news
multiple times for breaking election laws, for being negligent in her duties, that she still gets 94,000 votes, and these things have been highlighted on multiple occasions. It just it blows my mind. I just don't believe it, John. I just don't believe it.
Well, and if they had taken that $8,000 that they put into the property appraiser, $8,000 or more they put into the property appraiser, and then another, and the tax collector's office, they could have spent that with the supervisor of elections office and made everybody in Osceola County very aware of what a buffoon Mary Jane Arrington is. Yeah. But they didn't. Instead, they killed him. They destroyed that race. So it really just sucks.
Yeah. All All right, John. So, County Commission District 1, Desvani Martinez. And I remember
This is a
seeing
joke.
these polls that Desvani Martinez was
Yeah.
putting out on his Facebook saying that he was going to win this by a landslide, that the polls were saying that he was going to take this race, but that is not the result we got. Peggy Chowdhury beats him by a very sizable margin.
Yeah, this was always a joke. He was never going to be. It never came close. I think that those polls, who knows where they got those polls. I think that they took a page out of my playbook when I was promoting the fact that my polls came in and I was between 25 and 30% ahead of my competitor. Of course, that was before they spent, $300,000 attacking me. But, that's where they got that. It was just a tactic for them. So they were never real. Everybody knew it. People were texting me left and right, laughing, with laughing emojis on these polls.
I was just like, where did this poll come from? Because I can't find it anywhere. I mean, I would love to know.
It was just that was a joke. I mean, the guy did a video of himself as Superman. It was, it was just, there was no real seriousness behind this. This is somebody who doesn't understand the culture, all right, of Osceola County. And he drove Republicans away more than he gained Republicans, right? So,
I saw that where he put his face on Superman's body. I thought that was, I was like, what are you thinking, dude? Why are you putting this out as an ad? You're not Superman. And obviously,
just the arrogance, the arrogance itself it was just not a great idea.
No, not at all. All right, so District 3 County Commission, Brandon Arrington blowing away all the competition. Fior de Eliza Frias, who we've documented was a rhino, a serious rhino. This is a former Democrat that ran in the last election cycle as a Democrat, came into Osceola County, filed as a Republican to run against Brandon Arrington, gets trounced, and Eric Montgomery doesn't even make a dent in the map. He doesn't even make a small mark on the map here. He got 1,000 votes.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he picked up 4%. 4% wasn't, obviously that was not the difference here. No. I really wanted to like Fior de Elisa. She seemed like a very strong person. She was what appeared to be a woman of faith. The issue was that she had previously held office in New Jersey as a Democrat. And then she came here and she ran twice, I believe, in Florida as a Democrat.
Yes.
One time dropping out. Yeah. So that was, it was like a little too much. And now you're a Republican. Okay, maybe she was one of the Democrats that switched because of all the transgender BS, the anti-God sentiment in the Democrat Party, right? They hate God, obviously. So, if Fior came over for that reason, okay, great. I didn't really want to disparage her for that.
Right.
But you also had a hard time trusting her, right? Yeah. And then she went with all these other people who everybody knew they were just going to go, they were there to lose, right? So when she joined the camp of like these premeditated losers, then, so that's where that went. And, it ended up exactly where I think everyone thought.
We expected it to. And the sad part is we did have a strong Democrat running against Brandon in the primary and Debbie Rambis, and this is what we had. We had these three running, and Arrington lives on to complete at the end of this term, it'll be 20 years he sat in this seat. 20 years.
Who knows what he's going to name after himself? Hopefully it's that gay statue.
It's going to be that road. What do they call it? The Southport connector. It's going to be the Brandon Arrington connector. You watch.
Yeah. I wonder who the other guy he's connecting with.
All right. Supreme Court justices. We don't really. Who cares, right?
No.
All right.
Let's go. So let's go to the city. School board, we already knew, right? Oh, school board. school board.
District 5, Paula
District
Bronson.
5 school board, Paula Bronson, man. This was a so
Paula
many things.
Bronson fought hard for this seat, and I will tell you, John, she was probably, besides Donnie Martinez, and we said he fought hard, she fought very hard for this seat.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. Her and Andy fought really hard for the seat. They put their all into the seat. They did a great job. I think that, I had an inkling. I thought it was going to be closer than this. And I thought it was going to be closer than this because the establishment really wanted Scott Ramsey. They were pushing for Scott Ramsey hard. They wanted Scott Ramsey. I don't know that Scott Ramsey wanted it as much as the establishment wanted Scott Ramsey to have it.
Right.
And so let me say this. Now that he lost, let me say this. Scott Ramsey is probably a super nice guy. Just my vibe from him was that he was a nice guy, that he was just a nice guy. There's no way around it. This is probably a good man, a nice guy, but he's friends with Ricky Booth. Ricky Booth is none of those things. And so, he took it on the chin for that, right? So they convinced him, hey, do this. Yeah. You're going to get this out of it. And you know what? He maybe Scott Ramsey just kind of caved into the, doing it for Ricky Booth, and then he took a whole bunch of abuse for it. But I wish him well. I know that deep, I could, I just sense it that he's a good guy underneath it all. And so I don't have anything bad to say. I don't wish him any negativity at all.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, John. I don't know the guy at all. All I know is his associations. But I'll say this. For the 2 school board meetings that he was, I think he had 3 school board meetings, right, total?
Yeah.
All right, well, he only showed up to 2.
Yeah, that was terrible.
All right, so he just got appointed to the office by the governor, and he shows up for 1 meeting, the first one, and the second one he misses.
Yeah.
Because he was out on the rodeo circuit. And then he's back for the 3rd one, and that ends up being his last one. And I don't think that was a very good look on his part to
yeah, that was pretty bad.
Miss a
that was
meeting,
bad. Yeah.
So Scott Ramsey will be going back out on that rodeo circuit because he will not be going back to the Osceola County School Board. His term was 3 meetings long. That's it. Bye, Scott.
Well, okay, so yeah, but we're really happy for the establishment to lose that race.
Yes,
it is at the end of the game.
Absolutely.
So stay good, Paula. Stay good, okay? So stay true. The people that got you there, I think the teachers union was a big part in getting her up there. So she got all the Democrats, then she got all the, at least a lot of Republicans. That's so.
Yeah. I just hope that Paula's ready, that she's going to have her gloves on because she's going in there and it's going
to She is surrounded. She is surrounded by a bunch of trash on that school board. Yeah. Literally just hot garbage on that school board besides her, and she really needs to be prepared to deal with that because you can get worn down.
Fully entrenched establishment folks.
Yes, bought and paid for people.
Completely, 100%. So
I wish her well.
Yeah. All right, Kissimmee City Commission seat 1. Lysandra Roman versus Noel Ortiz. Noel Ortiz, sizable win there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Alianza, the Democrats, were making sure they were pushing hard for these seats. And so for all these city commission seats, they were on slate cards together, all the Democrats. So it was really hard for the Republicans to get in. The Republicans didn't really do anything for her, as far as I know. I don't know what she really wasn't following her race too much. Both of these people are very nice. Noel Ortiz is a very nice guy. Lysandra Roman, very nice lady. Nothing wrong with either of these people winning. Obviously, I don't think that Noel Ortiz is also in favor of all this crazy transgender stuff either. So it was kind of a hard race to win, especially when all the Democrats were for him, and then it becomes a man versus woman type of situation. Next race, seat 3, was my wife's race. She put her heart and soul into that race. She walked thousands and thousands of houses. Carlos Alvarez, same name as the former mayor. So that was tough. He did not campaign at all. This guy didn't do anything, but he was on the slate card, and they were fighting against. Obviously, the establishment was fighting very hard to keeping Arguello off of the ballot or out of any office at all. Yeah. So she was hitting that headwind. I think she was worked harder than any candidate I've ever seen. Just like Paula, she walked like crazy, just endless walking. It was really an amazing effort. Hardest working candidate I've ever seen. So Mayor 5, Jackie Espinosa and John Cortez. I'm not surprised at the outcome. John Cortez was the receiving end of an onslaught of negative ads, just like me, right? So you can be winning, and it doesn't matter. You get that many negative ads, and the people begin to believe it, and they hit him really hard with really ugly ads of domestic violence charges and stuff like that. It was really terrible. They hit him hard. So congratulations.
John, he didn't help his case when he tried to start a fight with Jeremy Fetzer down at the Kissimmee Civic Center.
As a result, exactly. As a result of all, listen, they did the same ads against me too. I saw Jose out there on the trail a couple times. I didn't go get in his face. I didn't do any of that stuff, right? I just didn't want to talk to him. I just severed my ties with him. I wasn't going to do anything, I'm not going to pretend he didn't do it, but I'm also not going to go and pick a fight with him. I would love to. I'd love to go around doing that, but believe me, I wasn't going to. And and not while I was running, especially. And then, obviously we go into, like Pedicini. I wouldn't even do with him, his the gay whipping boy of the party. No, it's not. It's not.
We're supposed to be adults. We need to act like adults. And I think John Cortez made the case for
those lost ads. It. Yeah, he did.
He made the case for those ads.
So you need to understand this is politics and it happens, and you don't want to look like a stereotype, when you're doing it. You got to be able to be composed at the worst time, and he wasn't. He lost it. They put that video everywhere, and I think that really hurt him.
Yeah. All right, St. Cloud Mayor Chris Robertson beats Tony Busby, and I'm actually surprised by this result. I know that establishment characters were putting money in the Busby's campaign. I know that he was had a lot of ads, a lot of support from local businesses because he was entrenched through a group that they created to support local businesses or to network local businesses. But Chris Robertson did have carryover name recognition from the last time he ran against Mayor Blackwell in 2020. I think that helped him quite a bit, and you see the result. And I know that Tony Busby had those videos, those TikTok videos that were going around. They were on several different Facebook groups. They made the Orlando Sentinel, and the Orlando Sentinel did a write-up about those videos. Tony Busby, the only thing that I would say about that is, as a candidate, you're filing to run for office, you should definitely clean up your Facebook, clean up your social media, make sure you don't have things like that, your TikTok, whatever. But the funny thing about that, John, is those videos were brought to light by someone he associates with, the St. Cloud Batman. And for those that are watching this show that aren't from Osceola County, that don't know what I mean when I say the St. Cloud Batman, there is a gentleman in St. Cloud who wears a Batman costume. He runs a local nonprofit, and he is not the nicest of characters and doesn't have the greatest of histories. And he is somebody that has gone to battle with John. He's gone to battle with me. He's gone to battle with many local anti-establishment people in Osceola County that he dubs miscreants. And I can tell you that the St. Cloud Batman was taking Tony Busby's loss very hard on election night. This St. Cloud Batman has a website, or a Facebook page, that he calls the True Osceola Politics, and he went ahead and changed his profile picture black because Chris Robertson won the mayor of St. Cloud.
It's important to keep in mind that I think that there's videos and recordings out there that would also destroy Chris Robertson, and so everybody is attuned to the fact that this is a world where everything is recorded, everything is videoed, everything is on social media, right? And and this is at the end of the day, they manipulated this footage of Tony Busby to hurt him and his family. I didn't appreciate that. And at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by this outcome because I think that Chris Robertson is a tool of the establishment. Also, I'll just say that I think that he's owned by Fred Hawkins and by that whole crew. And I say that because just conversations that I had with Chris before a falling out that he and I had, where he understood that the people who control this county have him in that museum under their thumb, and they can take away funding or they can give funding, and so he realized, oh well, this is the first real job I've had and the first real type of situation I got where, he basically goes from being somebody with, I mean, I don't know, it's just somebody without a place to now a mayor of a small town, right? And I hope that he gets his ego under control and that he doesn't, think that it's all about him, because his obsession with the city of St. Cloud has finally landed him what he wanted, and I hope that he does well with it. I think both of these guys are imperfect men, so am I, and it's time for it's time for now to rise to the occasion. Now you have it. Because I'll be honest, Chris Robertson just does not impress me. I saw him sign that stupid pledge with Buddy Dyer, and he was growing more and more to the left. And that's where a lot of his votes came from. They came from Democrats. So, and people that know him. And I think if I had to speculate, I would say that he ends up using this position to benefit himself instead of just honoring the people of St. Cloud. And I hate to see it. I hope I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it on the show, and I'll eat crow. So I hope that he rises to the occasion, and that's my hope. I hope that I am wrong.
Yeah. I hope that he becomes the mayor that this city absolutely needs, because we have suffered here in St. Cloud under Nathan Blackwell for the last 8 years. Nathan Blackwell brought about the destruction.
He was a non-mayor.
He was a non-mayor, but he was the one who brought about the destruction of small town life in St. Cloud. He really did. He was the one who eliminated that. It's not small town life anymore. It's the center place. So hopefully Chris will be that mayor that we hoped he would be in 2020, and we'll see. Time will tell. All right, so next one, John, and I want to tell you, this one really shocked me. For multiple reasons. City Council Seat 2, Jennifer Paul beats Mandy Schaefer. Now, the thing about this to me is Mandy Schaefer fought extremely hard for this seat. She was campaigning just like Paula Bronson, just like any of these other candidates we talked about that fought hard for their seat. She had a well-run campaign. She really did. I was impressed with a lot of things that they did. I saw her out there walking and hitting doors. And Jennifer Paul is extremely liberal, extremely far to the left, in a city that's very far to the right.
Yeah.
Even though her family has a long storied history in the St. Cloud Narcoossee area, I was very shocked knowing that Jennifer Paul is an establishment candidate. Her campaign was being run by Angela Eady. And
I am not surprised.
But the other thing about this is this, John, is that Mandy Schaefer won the primary handily, and Jennifer Paul was in second place. And now we get to the general, and Jennifer Paul wins, and by a pretty decent margin against Mandy Schaefer. I don't understand this outcome.
I don't remember how many votes Phil Lantry got. But when you combine Phil Lantry and Jennifer Paul, I think that they would have overtaken Mandy Schaefer, and that's what happened as a result, right? Because
that could be
Phil Lantry was a Democrat. Jennifer Paul's a Democrat, and she's a far left-leaning Democrat.
And Mandy I know that Phil Lantry did come and endorse Jennifer Paul after he lost.
That surprised me too. I don't know. That really surprised me. And then Jennifer Paul was also working with Chris Robertson. right? So Jennifer Paul was an establishment. The establishment had two picks in this race. I don't think that they were like, I don't think that Mandy Schaefer knowingly just ceded the position to the establishment, maybe why she lost it. Jennifer Paul would absolutely have ceded herself to the establishment, and that's all that she's going to be, is another establishment pick, except one that's going to fight for, that transgender movement and all that crazy wokeness.
I
But
mean, her campaign colors were the LGBTQ colors, or actually the transgender colors, not the.
Go figure. Yeah. I mean, that's what her whole thing is going to be. So, I don't know. I think that Mandy Schaefer could have pulled this out. She had a great ground game, and she's known in that community. She's been there a long time, but I don't know. I know that there are some people who didn't go out and didn't turn out because they saw that she was kind of mingling with the people with some of the people that that St. Cloud City activists don't like. People like Mike Horner and people like the mayor, and they didn't want somebody to go in and get their blessings. And I think there might have been a couple of votes. So you can see there's 1,000 people that voted in the mayor's race that did not vote in the city council seat 2 race.
Yes.
All right. And that 1,000 people is the difference for her here. Exactly. And those 1,000 people are 1,000 people that were upset that she was playing nice with the people who ruined the city. Right. Which is a strategy, right? Like, you play nice with people so that you can win. And sometimes that backfires, because that's exactly what. So the 12,863 people would have voted for her regardless. The only thing that she lost is the people who are like really adamant voters who don't want the city to continue down the path that it's going. And when those people hold back, you have this outcome. But I thought that Jennifer Paul was sold out from the very beginning, and so I figured that she was going to win, especially when Phil Lantry endorsed her.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked by that, but yeah, I think there was a belief among some that Mandy Schaefer was an establishment candidate, and there was no doubt that Jennifer Paul was. I didn't believe that Mandy Schaefer was an establishment candidate. I don't.
It just doesn't matter, right? Like, when you go there and you're shaking hands with people, you go and you shake hands with Mike Horner, everybody's going to be like, ooh, all right? And so that's going to be the reaction that you get. So when you have to be careful. Not all those things are worth it. Not those relationships. It's okay to say hello to everyone, but you don't have to act like you're okay with everyone. It's okay to have integrity, and I think that people respect that.
Yeah.
And you lost anyways, so you might as well be who you really are at the end of the day. All right? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Like me, here's the thing. If I would have lost by fewer votes by acting like I'm a super nice guy, I'd rather just go out, but I lose. I'd rather just go out being me.
Yeah.
So none of these other really, but we do want to congratulate our friend Cynthia Trouts, who won the CDD for Over Oaks community.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
There it is. So, and William Thies there, who in seat 2. So seat 1, seat 2, those were good victories over there. So good on them.
John. That's
that's my community. So congratulations to Cynthia Trouts and William Thies on those wins. And that's all we got.
Yeah, that's it, John.
Oh, do you want to go over the? Yeah,
that's the election. Unless you want to go over anything else with the election.
Well, let's just really quick. Let's go over some of these, the amendments 3 and 4. So I just want to go over some of these numbers here for 3 and 4. For number 3, 54 to 45. It's at all the way. Go scroll all the way down. But Constitutional Amendment 3, 54 to 45. Obviously, the threshold was 60%. So we voted about the state average, the state outcome, right? A little bit lower. So we don't want that crap here. That shows this is a liberal movement here, right? We did not want that crap here. And this is a number that's lower than that. And then again,
I think even
number 4,
people that wanted to vote for Amendment 3 wanted it in more clearer terms. So I think that people
The intentions, yeah, there were people who weren't comfortable. People who were okay with weed smoking didn't vote for this sometimes because we knew what this was. This was a lobbyist driven agenda here, right here. Okay, and then number 4, really quickly, same situation, 57%. This is about the state average, just shy of it. And so we're glad that failed also. So congratulations to all those babies who aren't going to be killed in their 9th month and so on. This was a disastrous lobbyist driven. Thank God that this failed, because the language was so horrendous. I don't think that people knew that. And then lastly, the county referendum on yes for bonds, no for bonds. Listen, this is what makes me so frustrated with the people of Osceola County. Yeah. They had no idea what this was. They put it on the ballot. This is to give the county more flexibility to do stupid things like Neo City. It's not for nature. It's not for any of those things. No. They're ruining everything they touch. Now they're going to take loans in your name that you have to pay back. Yeah. Incredible. Come on.
Yeah, it's very sad. I didn't think that they would vote for this tax to continue this tax. But
I don't think they really paid attention. I don't think that they paid attention. Yeah. So it's really terrible. Yeah. Listen, that is the show. Thank you. God bless you. On behalf of me, former school board member John Arguello, my great friend over here, citizen Tom Lord, please like and share the show. And we'll see you next week for Unsanctioned America. God bless.